10 Buddhist Principles so that nothing can affect you. Introduction: the unshakable mind in a chaotic world. In today's rapidly changing and often chaotic world, finding stability and peace can seem like a distant dream. Life constantly throws challenges our way: stress at work, conflicts in relationships, health issues, and financial struggles. Yet amidst all of this turbulence, Buddhism teaches that we can remain unaffected by these external forces. How? By adopting 10 key principles that enable us to cultivate an unshakable mind, free from fear, anxiety, and emotional turmoil. In this guide, we will explore these 10 Buddhist principles that empower individuals to stand strong, regardless of what life throws their way. Through vivid examples, personal reflections, and practical advice, this journey will help you discover how to master your emotions, control your thoughts, and maintain inner peace in the face of adversity. Chapter 1: Acceptance of Impermanence. One of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism is the concept of impermanence, anicca. Everything in life, whether it's material wealth, relationships, or even our own bodies, is transient and subject to change. Clinging to the belief that things will remain the same leads to suffering. Example: the fragility of wealth. Imagine a businessman who has amassed a fortune over the years. He feels secure, believing that his financial success will last forever. But then, due to unforeseen circumstances, the stock market crashes and he loses everything. If he was attached to the idea of permanent wealth, this loss could devastate him emotionally. However, if he had embraced the principle of impermanence, he would have been more prepared for such changes, understanding that both wealth and poverty are temporary states. Personal reflection: learning to let go. In my own life, there have been times when I found it difficult to accept that certain things would change. Whether it was the end of a friendship or a shift in my career, holding on to the past only prolonged my suffering. Once I learned to embrace impermanence, I felt a sense of freedom. No longer clinging to what was, I opened myself up to new experiences and possibilities. Key takeaway: by accepting that everything is temporary, we can reduce the emotional impact of life's inevitable ups and downs. This acceptance allows us to flow with change rather than resist it. Chapter 2: Non-attachment to desires. Desire is often seen as the root of suffering in Buddhism. When we desire something intensely, whether it's material possessions, recognition, or affection from others, we create a state of dissatisfaction within ourselves. We become anxious when we don't get what we want, or fearful that we might lose what we already have. Example: chasing perfection. Consider a person who constantly strives for perfection in everything they do. Whether it's their appearance, their job performance, or even their social media presence, they are driven by the desire to be seen as flawless. However, this constant pursuit often leads to burnout and dissatisfaction, because perfection is an unattainable goal. By learning to detach from this desire for perfection, one can find contentment in simply doing their best without the need for external validation. Personal reflection: letting go of expectations. In the past, I often found myself setting high expectations for both myself and others. When those expectations weren't met, I would feel disappointed and frustrated. However, once I began practicing non-attachment, I realized that it's okay to have goals, but it's equally important not to be overly attached to the outcome. This shift in mindset has brought me much more peace and contentment in my daily life. Key takeaway: desires, when left unchecked, can lead to a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. By practicing non-attachment, we free ourselves from the constant pursuit of external fulfillment and find peace within. Chapter 3: Mindfulness of the present moment. Mindfulness, or the practice of being fully present in the moment, is a core principle in Buddhism. When we allow our minds to dwell on the past or worry about the future, we miss out on the richness of the present moment. Mindfulness teaches us to focus on the here and now, which is the only moment we truly have. Example: the power of now. Imagine someone sitting in a beautiful park, surrounded by nature. However, instead of enjoying the sights and sounds around them, they are lost in thought about an argument they had yesterday, or worrying about a deadline at work. Even though they are physically present in the park, they are mentally absent. Practicing mindfulness would allow them to fully appreciate the moment, feel the breeze on their skin, and hear the birds singing, bringing them a sense of calm and happiness. Personal reflection. Overcoming anxiety with mindfulness. As someone who used to struggle with anxiety, I found that my mind was often preoccupied with worst-case scenarios about the future. However, once I started practicing mindfulness, I learned to gently bring my focus back to the present whenever my thoughts began to spiral. Over time, this practice has significantly reduced my anxiety, as I've realized that most of my worries are about things that may never happen. Key takeaway. Mindfulness allows us to fully experience life as it unfolds, rather than being caught up in past regrets or future anxieties. By being present, we cultivate a sense of peace and appreciation for the moment. Chapter 4. Compassion for all beings. Compassion, or metta, is central to Buddhist teachings. It involves extending kindness and empathy not only to ourselves but also to others, regardless of their actions or behavior. Compassion helps us see the interconnectedness of all life and fosters a sense of unity and understanding. Example, the ripple effect of kindness. Think of a time when someone did something kind for you, even if it was a small gesture like holding the door open or offering a smile. That act of kindness likely lifted your spirits, and in turn, you may have passed that positive energy on to someone else. Compassion has a ripple effect, spreading positivity and goodwill far beyond the initial act. Personal reflection. Finding compassion in difficult situations. There have been times when I found it challenging to extend compassion, particularly to people who have hurt or wronged me. However, through my practice of Buddhism, I've come to understand that everyone is fighting their own battles, and often hurtful actions stem from a place of pain or misunderstanding. By cultivating compassion, I've been able to let go of grudges and approach others with empathy, even in difficult situations. Key takeaway. Compassion not only benefits others, but also frees us from anger, resentment, and hatred. By practicing compassion, we create a more harmonious world for ourselves and those around us. Chapter 5. The Middle Way. Avoiding extremes. The Middle Way, one of the most important teachings in Buddhism, advocates for a balanced approach to life, avoiding extremes of indulgence and deprivation. This principle encourages moderation in all aspects of life, whether it's work, relationships, or personal habits. Example, striking a work-life balance. Consider someone who is either a workaholic or, conversely, someone who avoids work altogether. Both extremes can lead to negative consequences. Burnout in the former case, and stagnation or financial instability in the latter. The middle way suggests finding a balance where one can work diligently, but also take time to rest and enjoy life outside of work. Personal reflection. Balancing ambition and rest. In my early career, I often found myself pushing to the point of exhaustion, believing that hard work was the only path to success. However, this led to burnout and, ironically, decreased productivity. By adopting the middle way, I've learned to set healthy boundaries, prioritize self-care, and recognize that rest is just as important as effort in achieving long-term success. Key takeaway. The middle way helps us avoid the pitfalls of extreme behaviors and find a balanced, sustainable approach to life. This balance fosters greater well-being and harmony in both our personal and professional lives. Chapter 6. The Law of Karma. Understanding cause and effect. Karma, often misunderstood, refers to the law of cause and effect. In essence, our actions, whether good or bad, create ripples that influence not only our current life but also future experiences. This principle encourages ethical behavior, as we understand that our actions have consequences. Example, planting seeds of kindness. Imagine someone who consistently helps others, showing kindness and generosity in their daily interactions. Over time, these positive actions generate goodwill, and eventually, that kindness is returned to them in unexpected ways, perhaps through new opportunities, support from friends, or simply a sense of inner fulfillment. Conversely, someone who acts out of greed or malice may find themselves isolated or facing negative consequences down the road. Personal reflection. Witnessing karma in action. There have been moments in my life when I've seen karma play out, both positively and negatively. I've observed how actions rooted in selfishness or dishonesty eventually lead to challenges, while acts of kindness and integrity often result in long-term benefits. This understanding has deepened my commitment to living ethically and making choices that align with my values. Key takeaway: the law of karma reminds us that our actions have far-reaching consequences. By choosing to act with integrity and kindness, we not only improve our own lives, but also contribute to a more positive world. Chapter 7. Detachment from ego. In Buddhism, the ego is seen as a source of suffering. The ego creates a false sense of self, leading us to believe that we are separate from others, and that our worth is tied to external achievements, possessions, or status. By detaching from the ego, we can cultivate a sense of inner peace and unity with the world around us. Example: the trap of materialism. Consider someone who defines their self-worth by their wealth, believing that the more they have, the more valuable they are. However, this attachment to material possessions can lead to endless dissatisfaction, as they constantly seek more to fill the void within. By detaching from the ego and recognizing that true worth comes from within, they can break free from this cycle of craving and find lasting fulfillment. Personal reflection: overcoming ego-driven desires. In the past, I often found myself chasing external validation, whether through achievements at work or praise from others. However, I eventually realized that no amount of external success could provide lasting happiness. By letting go of my ego-driven desires and focusing on internal growth, I've found a deeper sense of contentment and self-worth that isn't dependent on external factors. Key takeaway: detachment from the ego allows us to see ourselves and others with greater clarity. When we let go of the need for external validation, we free ourselves from suffering and cultivate a deeper sense of peace and connectedness. Chapter 8. Equanimity, remaining calm amidst life's storms. Equanimity, or upekkha, refers to the ability to remain calm and composed in the face of life's challenges. It is the practice of not being swayed by pleasure or pain, success or failure, but instead maintaining a balanced mind regardless of external circumstances. Example: navigating difficult situations with grace. Imagine someone who faces a difficult situation, such as losing their job or going through a breakup. While it's natural to feel upset in such circumstances, someone who practices equanimity would acknowledge their emotions, but not be overwhelmed by them. Instead, they would approach the situation with a sense of calm, trusting that, like all things, this too shall pass. Personal reflection: cultivating equanimity in daily life. I used to be easily affected by external events. Whether it was receiving criticism at work or dealing with personal challenges, my emotions would often get the best of me. However, through mindfulness and Buddhist practice, I've learned to cultivate equanimity. While I still experience emotions, I no longer allow them to control me. This has brought a sense of inner stability, even in difficult times. Key takeaway: equanimity allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and composure. By cultivating this inner calm, we become less affected by external circumstances and more in control of our emotional well-being. Chapter 9. Right speech, the power of words. In Buddhism, right speech is one of the key elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. It emphasizes the importance of speaking truthfully, kindly, and with purpose. Words have the power to heal or harm, and by choosing our words wisely, we can create a more harmonious and positive environment. Example: healing through kind words. Consider a time when someone spoke words of encouragement to you during a difficult moment. Those words likely had a profound impact, lifting your spirits and giving you the strength to keep going. On the other hand, harsh or critical words can leave lasting wounds. By practicing right speech, we can use our words to uplift others and foster deeper connections. Personal reflection: the impact of mindful communication. In the past, I sometimes spoke impulsively, without considering the impact my words might have on others. However, as I've become more mindful of my speech, I've noticed a positive shift in my relationships. By choosing my words carefully and speaking with kindness and honesty, I've been able to communicate more effectively and strengthen my connections with others. Key takeaway: words have the power to create or destroy. By practicing right speech, we can use our words to spread positivity, heal relationships, and create a more harmonious world. Chapter 10. The wisdom of non-self, anatta. The concept of non-self, or anatta, teaches that there is no permanent, unchanging self. What we think of as self is merely a collection of thoughts, emotions, and experiences that are constantly shifting. By realizing the truth of non-self, we can let go of attachment to our identity and the suffering that comes with it. Example, letting go of labels. Many people define themselves by labels, whether it's their profession, social status, or even their hobbies. However, these labels can be limiting and create unnecessary suffering when they no longer apply. For instance, someone who loses their job may feel lost and worthless if they have attached their identity to their career. By embracing the concept of non-self, they can recognize that their true value is not tied to any external label, and they can adapt to new circumstances with greater ease. Personal reflection. Finding freedom in non-self. I used to cling to certain aspects of my identity, believing that they defined who I was. However, as I've come to understand the principle of non-self, I've realized that I am constantly evolving, and no single label or experience defines me. This realization has brought me a sense of freedom, allowing me to embrace change and view life with a greater sense of curiosity and openness. Key takeaway: by understanding the concept of non-self, we can let go of attachment to our identity and the suffering that comes with it. This wisdom allows us to live with greater flexibility and openness to life's possibilities. Conclusion: embracing the path to inner peace. The 10 Buddhist principles explored in this guide offer profound insights into how we can live more peacefully and effectively in a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable. By embracing these teachings, whether it's accepting impermanence, practicing mindfulness, or cultivating compassion, we can remain unaffected by external forces and find true happiness within. While the journey toward mastering these principles may take time and effort, the rewards are immeasurable. Through consistent practice, we can cultivate an unshakable mind and a heart filled with peace, love, and understanding.